idea is about trying to promote independent, reliable, credible journalism. As you know, in Africa, journalism, the practice of journalism is very, very problematic, with several practices that are at times not really ethical. Everybody, including journalists, professional journalists, complain about that. So one of the main point in my idea was to set up a news source that would be credible, independent, very reliable. The second idea is to have a news source that goes beyond the borders, because people are talking a lot about integration of African nations, about understanding. And unfortunately, it's all bureaucracy. I mean, in the real world, if you talk to people at grassroots level, they're not really very much in the know of what's going on in these institutions. So one of the points was to get people connected through information, so that people from different countries can know that they're having probably the same problems, and at times they're ruled by the same directives decided by these organizations. Well, there are two sides. One, as I said earlier, is this idea of promoting independent, credible journalism. It is still very difficult to be a journalist in an environment where nobody understands the media and the media's role. And it's very difficult to be a journalist where journalists are not respected. So one of the things that inspired me is to try and lift up the image of the African journalists. I think particularly here in West Africa, journalists are seen as people going with cheap corruption and some very unethical practices. So part of what inspired me is to show to the world that it is possible to be a journalist, to be respected, and to live with only his work, to decently live with one's work. This is part of the thing. The other part is really trying to project another image of Africa, because as you know, Africa's image in the international media is at times very flawed, very biased. So part of my goal is to also really give African news with an African perspective, but always keeping in mind that as journalists, we need to be neutral, we need to be independent, we need to be credible. Well, I really can't say that there has been an aha moment. I mean, probably it's been something that has been cooking inside me for long. The resources I get from Night and Ashoka are helping me concentrate more, spend much more time on my organization, contrary to what I was doing before. I was mostly working as a freelancer, and my income that I was getting from other media organizations is what I was using to develop my website and to pay the few colleagues who were helping me. Now, with the fellowship and the stipend I'm getting, I spend much more time to the website, so it really it's giving impetus to the website, and the results, the number of readers is also increasing regularly. I have not managed to do anything formal with any of them so far, but I have only been an Ashoka fellow for a few months. So I think we still have time to see what are the areas of collaboration we can explore with the other fellows. Very far away, because the ultimate goal is to have really a very successful, very influential news source, to become a leading news source. So I'm very far from the ultimate goal. I have also other objectives, which is to find new ways to distribute news while remaining independent and credible. So this is a really faraway goal. We are still working hard to reach that goal. one example I want to give, which really illustrates what I am trying to do, and this is an example I like to give because it was also one of the first successes of the West Africa News project, is once we had this big mining company which was planning to come here and sign a contract with the Senegalese government. And as you know, mining contracts most of the time lack transparency. And while this organization, this mining firm, was preparing to come to Senegal to negotiate a contract, I learned through other sources that the same mining company was having troubles in Liberia because the government there wanted to renegotiate their contract. So I did a few investigations and managed to publish a story on this organized, and the next morning most of the newspapers here in Senegal picked up on the story and republished it. And I think for me that was really one good success story. And it illustrated what I wanted to do, to show that the problems beyond the borders of one particular nation are most of the time similar. It also showed that independent, credible journalism can help raise the awareness of the public opinion, and that through my website I could really have some impact, some influence on the decision-making process, or at least on shaping the public opinion in my country or in West Africa. My name is Tidiane, and I'm a change maker.